Hey, what's up, guys? This is T-Bone here. Welcome back to another episode of playing Legendary Game of Heroes. So today is actually my 6th anniversary for the very first video I've ever uploaded on YouTube. I was reminded of it in my live stream yesterday, and I thought it'd be fun to go back and take a look at the video and just kind of watch it again. It felt very nostalgic. The game itself I've played for a long time. Unfortunately, the game is no longer available, but I thought it'd be fun to just share that a little bit with you and see what it was like when I first uploaded. Then after that, I'm going to go ahead and talk about the deck that I'm using for the current event and how it's doing. We'll talk about the different variations and what works best for me. So let's take a look at the video that I first uploaded 6 years ago today.
Okay, so we're gonna try doing a Lima hard farming, and it's actually pretty easy if you have the right units.
So this was
And so what I'm
done
gonna do is I'm gonna go
when I
to Lima
had
hard,
just a
select
laptop.
fight,
All I had was a laptop. I
and
didn't have a mic. I didn't
I
have
just randomly
anything,
picked a set of
and I figured
units
out
because
how
my
to
primary ones are actually on cooldown, but it
connect
actually doesn't matter.
the game to
So
the laptop, and that's how I
when
made
you
this.
select the borrowed units, there's a technique that we use in our guild where you choose the strongest lumberjack or the timber beast and put it into your first slot, and it will appear as a borrowed unit. So go ahead and pick the level 31 timber beast here, and we'll go ahead and fight.
It's kind of fun just kind of watching the old videos I've made again. And we're not going to watch the whole thing, even though it's a very short video. But this is a
And I
game
found
I played
that
this a lot of time,
generally when
for a long
fighting
time.
in these maps, it's easiest to try and find a spot that will cover both of the factories or the protected areas. With put it where you can have the most coverage without having to split them up. So I'm gonna go ahead and start. I'll just put my
And a nice long pause right there. All right, so we're gonna stop right there. So you can watch the rest of the video. You can take a look at the very first one that I've uploaded. I had a series of it for that game that unfortunately is no longer available anymore. But I just thought it was kind of cool to think about how far sort of I've come. And 6 years is a long time, but it kind of felt like it went by really quickly. So I'm glad that I'm still doing this, and thanks for all of your support. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at the team that I talked about during the live stream yesterday. So now we can take a look at the team in action. I also have a couple of variations, just trying to see what would work best, right? So I'm using Reaping Royalty here for Dispel, but what I'm finding is I'm really not using the Dispel as much just because I'm able to do turn 0 damage. And so I thought, is there another card that I could potentially do better than using that card? And so I thought about just adding in another sort of card from the Jailer's deck to give it an additional 1200% boost. See if that would work well. In fact, this would actually give me an additional 2400 boost because I have both Jailers and also the Divine Duet that are doing turn delay. So I would actually be boosting twice. And then another variation here is to put in Rashmi here for the additional 2000 bonus as a Slayer card. So let's go ahead and try them all. And then I'll sort of show you what it's like for this particular event. All right, so let's go ahead and play, and we will go and attack a boss here. So let's go ahead and jump into one. I don't have a solo boss right now, so I kind of wanted to make it very consistent. So I wanted to show you what the damage will be like across all three. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and clear all of these bosses first, and then we will see which ones pop up. And then I will go ahead and attack with them. Okay, so here's one. So we're going to go ahead and use our first team here. And remember that my hard one gorillas is going to deal 5 times nuke damage after this. So this deck, it's pretty easy to use, and I find that it's not too difficult whether I activate my Reaping Royalty first or if I activate it after doing a Dispel to get additional power gems. So I didn't find too big of a difference in damage. So let's take a look and see what turn 0 is like. So I'm able to deal 525 trillion with hard one gorillas, and so that gives me, almost 3 quadrillion as a nuke damage afterwards. And in addition to that, I also have other damage from the from the other Slayer cards. Now we come back to, just doing this damage. This is now unboosted, so you can see the difference here. Now we drop down to 7.6 trillion. So all of the, the damage boost is coming from both jailers, and also the 2000% boost from the card Protectors of Prosperity. So we're going to wait one more turn here, because what I want to do is I want to make sure that I can also activate my jailers. And it looks like I'm actually going to have to wait 2 more turns, just because I see that my Defiant Duet is not ready yet, and it comes 1 turn earlier. So now you can sort of see, like, this is not a really that great of a deck for following up after the initial hit, just because I need to wait for jailers to to be available again. And so against a Radiant boss, so you can see here, depending on who are also hitting the boss, you might still have some time to charge up your attack. But now that we've sort of used up our initial boost from Protectors of Prosperity, we're not going to get quite as big of a boost anymore. So you can see my damage now drops down to 422. But that still means a little over 2 quadrillion damage. And so I was able to get MVP here. Total damage, including the 2 shots and all of the nukes combined, I was looking at a little 5 quadrillion. So if I'm able to repeat this, I should at least be able to get 20% on most of the bosses for Radiant bosses as we get higher in level. I don't expect to get MVP here, but I can at least, quickly go in and get some quick damage. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at, we're going to take a look at the second variation. All right, so this is the variation where I put in Consecrated Wizardus, so that I can actually get more boost from jailers, or whenever I get whenever I have a turn delay, I can get additional boost as well. So you can see here, Consecrated Wizardus doesn't do turn delay, so you're not actually boosting anything. So it's only when I start doing turn delay, you can see that I am boosting twice, once from jailers and once from Consecrated Wizardus. And then I'm going to go ahead and activate again, and now you'll see I have 2 stacks of 2 attack boost coming from both jailers and Consecrated Wizardus. And now let's see how much damage we can deal this time. So pay attention to Hard One Gorillas, and it's a 559 trillion, so not actually too much difference. All right, so not too much difference, but the problem here is if we take a look at the total damage, so 522 and then 559, and then if you look at the total damage, it looks to be about 675. So the bulk of the damage is coming from Hard One Gorillas, but not from any other card, because I have 3 commanders in there and it's not really getting a lot of damage. So the challenge with this setup is that I'm losing the amount of damage I can get from a Slayer card, and I didn't really do that much better for my Hard One Gorillas. So now let's see, well, if we bring in Rashmi as a Slayer card, how that would do. So let's go ahead and use this variation now. And we're going to jump in, and again, this is going to be a turn 0 hit. So we're going to do turn 0 damage and then see how this setup works. And then we will sort of talk about some additional sort of ideas for what we can do without these cards. And so activation order, we're just going to keep it all the same, going from left to right. And so the thing with Rashmi is that she doesn't create any power gems on her own. So she's only doing the attack boost, right? So we get the attack boost, and we're going to do our power gem match. And pay attention to Hard One Gorillas. We deal 410 trillion damage here. We actually deal less damage. And why is that? Well, the reason for that is because, like I mentioned, she doesn't produce any power gems on her own, and there's no passive ability either that creates any power gems. So Pujari Rashmi is the ultra rare card that will give me 2000% attack boost, which is really good, but she doesn't do anything else in terms of adding to the board. So the total number of power gems I have on turn 0 is limited. And if you look at sort of the rest of the power gems I can create, I only have Protectors of Prosperity that's able to create a Power Gem, 5 Power Gem 6s. The rest of them are Power Gem 4s and Power Gem 2s. So I don't really have a lot of Power Gems to begin with. And if you take a look at this option, so I managed to get a little bit better damage just because Consecrated Wizardus and Jailers combined is give me multiple stacks of attack. But again, I'm sort of limited by the amount of damage I can do because of the Power Gem spawn ability. Consecrated Wizardess also has a sort of, a limitation, and that is she only creates Power Gem 2s. So in today's meta, that really isn't all that great. So then Reaping Royalty, why am I getting good damage out of this card? So one, Reaping Royalty has a passive ability that generates 4 Power Gems at the beginning of the turn, so I'm getting that that benefit there, and then it's also increasing its own attack for 3 turns, and so this card is getting some benefits. It's a Slayer card, and so it's able to deal more damage also because of Hard-Won Gorilla's killer boost. So all in all, this turned out to be a better option. Now, another one I also tried was to say, well, is there a card that I can get better damage out of? If I can create more Power Gems, 6s or 5s, would it be better? So then I tried it with Intrepid Voyagers. So Intrepid Voyagers will create, it will create 4 Power Gem 5s. And it also increases its own self-attack. So let's see how we do this time with this setup. And then after that, let's take a look at sort of like a different sort of a variation that doesn't include Jailers, doesn't include all of the other cards in here. So let's take a look and see what it's like. And so what we're looking at here is a wrong setup because I went in with the wrong team. So let's go ahead and change it back. So we're going to now use the team that has Intrepid Voyagers. So Intrepid Voyagers will create 4 Power Gem 5s, and so theoretically we should do a little bit better than the first team. So let's see if that is the case. So we're going to go ahead and activate from left to right, and we're going to see what the overall damage is going to be like, including Hard-Won Gorillas. So let's go ahead and do our gem match, and I'm still sort of playing this way where after I do my gem match, I don't bother keeping anything anymore. And you can see here our attack from Hard-Won Gorillas was actually at 400 trillion. So we dealt less damage here. So our total damage was a little bit over 5 quadrillion afterwards. And so now I'm going to go ahead and just continue to play until my Jailers is back to being ready. And now we're down to only 3 trillion even with Protectors of Prosperity, because Protectors of Prosperity has now just gone down to 200% attack boost instead of 2000. So we really need Jailers help here. Okay, and so what we need to do is let's try this one more time with everything in here, but we're expecting to deal a little bit less damage because we don't have the 2000% attack boost from Protectors anymore. And so let's go ahead and see how we do. Now I'm going to actually match this because I can see that if I don't, I'm going to deal very little damage there. And so you can just see the amount of damage has now gone down to 146. And so it is very interesting to me because with Intrepid Voyagers, I'm not really doing that much better, even though I would have expected it to do better for me. But in the end, the best option really was for me to use Reaping Royalty instead. And so if you don't have Jailers, or if you don't have Defiant Duet, I would hope that at this point you would have picked up Jailers or something similar, because it's still available in the Proving Ground store, and this is a card that I think you're always going to benefit from. So if you have that, and if you have Hard-Won Gorillas, then really the options are, if you don't have Defiant Duet, you can use something else. And one of the cards I mentioned was, just simply using I'm going to change this. Simply using like a turn delay if you have, where did it go? If you have Yorn Swarmers, okay? And we're going to go ahead and swap that out for, I was farming for some cards, and you can see there's a lot of cards I still need to get rid of. So we can see what this will be like if I were to use Yorn Swarmers instead of Defiant Duet. So you should expect that the total amount of damage is still going to be lower just because it's not creating any power gems. Okay, we are doing turn delay. We are able to delay the turn by 4, which is good. And then so we actually have 5 turns of delay here from all of the turn delays. And we can take a look and see how much damage we can do here. And so with Yorn Swarmers, instead of Defiant Duet, we have less power gems, but we're still able to do about 300 trillion pre-nuke with this card. Okay, so 300 trillion, that is, and you can continue to turn delay here. You can continue to use the turn delay. And so what that gives you at least is you'll never get hit, right? You'll never get hit by the boss this way. So at least what I find here is if you don't have Reaping Royalty, but you have Yorn Swarmers, and you're able to just keep the boss on turn delay, then what that means is you don't have to worry about, you know, dispelling. You don't have to worry about getting rid of slumber or anything else that would cause you to have issues at this event with dealing damage. And so we're going to go ahead now and take a look and see if we can defeat the boss at this point. And so I think, you know, the key here really is having jailers. Unfortunately, jailers do not, it's not available just yet because I went, I think, 1 turn too early. So it's okay. We're just going to come back and we will try this one more time because we just need a couple turns and we should be fine. I do want to make sure that I'm getting both, my Protectors of Prosperity and also Jailers available. And so we're going to do one more turn and then we're going to be able to activate everything. And then let's see how much damage we can do there. So our first turn 0 damage was about 300 trillion. And that came out to about 1.5 quadrillion total damage for the nuke. And now we're going to go ahead and do a second time. And let's see if we can finish the boss off with a nuke here. So 244, with this, we're able to deal a little over 1 quadrillion. And still with this, we could take out the boss. And so Defiant Duet is not absolutely necessary. So if you have Yorn Swarmers, hopefully that's a card that you have available. You know, some turn delay, that is something that you can use. If you don't have it, I also showcase another card that you can use, and that is the card that's Hercules. Hercules is a card that has turn delay. I showed it last time, and I can show you right now what it looks like. So it's going to be an Earth Honored, and its commander type is Honored. So you can look for it in your codex, and hopefully you'll have that. So you can see Hercules is a card that you can get. You can easily upgrade it to 6 stars if you need to, and then you can get the turn delay once every 3 turns rather than once per turn. And so, you can sort of keep adjusting here. So if you don't have Reaping Royalty, then this is where I think that, you know, you can then go back to say, well, let's go ahead and use Arcane Killer. Since you already have Jailers anyway, then you would probably want to then use either a Consecrated Wizardus or go with Quad. I personally would probably go with Consecrated Wizardus still, even though it only spawns Power Gem 2s, just because when you think about it, with Quad, what you have is 1 turn delay. Okay, so if we have Quad, that's turn delay there, another turn delay there, and then Jailers gives you another turn delay. So that's 3 turn delays total for 3 times boost, and that gives you 3,600% attack boost. But if you have Consecrated Wizardus, so whenever you do a turn delay, so Yorn Swarmers is going to do a turn delay, okay, and that is going to then boost up Consecrated Wizards and Jailers. And then when Jailers does its turn delay, then it will also boost plus Consecrated Wizards. So you get an additional stack of 1,200% attack boost. Is that going to be worse off? We can test this out right now. So we're going to test out with Guad and also with Consecrated Wizards. And the reason I'm doing this is because I'm really pushing for the idea that you should be getting Jailers from your Proving Ground store. I've said this enough times that, you know, it should be a card that's in your arsenal at this point. So now really it's just a matter of understanding what's better. Is it better to use the Master Collection card, which is Quad, or is it better to use Consecrated Wizardus, which is the ultra rare card? All right, so we're gonna test out the turn 0 damage here first with Consecrated Wizardus and Yorn Swarmers. And so you can see here we are looking at 182 trillion. And I'm just gonna quit right there, and then I'm going to come back, and it might get taken up by the by someone else, but that's okay. We are just gonna take another boss as well afterwards. And so I'm gonna put in Guad here. So we will have 1 stack short of the boost, but we're going from Power Gem 2s to Power Gem 3s. So we are going to get a little bit better Power Gem, but 1 less stack of the attack boost total. So we saw the original damage was about 183 with Consecrated Wizardus. And then if we use Guad instead, let's take a look and see how much damage we can do. So again, just activate from left to right. So you can see the total stack of boost here is 3 instead of 2 stacks of 2 earlier. And then let's see how much damage we do this time. And so we actually deal now 170. And so I think the difference now here is really that Power Gem 2 versus Power Gem 3. I guess this is where the Power Gem values matter. I'm going to showcase this one more time just to see if this is a fluke or not. So we're going to go back with Guad. We're going to go back with Consecrated Wizardus so that we can see, whether or not the values are really consistent or not, so you can sort of see for yourself what you should do. So we're going to go back and we're going to do this one more time, use the same idea here. And now somebody's actually coming in to start attacking. That's okay. We're going to go ahead and just do our attack. And I mean, there is going to be some level of like differences in the board itself. So maybe I got a better board, but you can see here we're able to deal 164 trillion. And so that still feels like it's better than what we saw with Consecrated Wizardus. And so let's go ahead now, switch this out, put in Consecrated Wizardus, and then see how much damage we do. So at the end of this fight, then you can sort of see for yourself what you should focus on. And if you, like I said, if you don't have Yorn Swarmers, put in something like Hercules, right? Because it's a card that you should also easily be able to get, because it's something that it's old, and a lot of people would have already received it just from like regular vault openings. You might have already had it and just got rid of it. You didn't realize. So you can go back and get something. There's a lot of cards that are Earth that will do turn delays. That's all you need. Okay, you don't really need anything else. You can see here, Yorn Storm doesn't generate any power gems, right? So I'm not using Yorn Stormers for its power gem ability, and I'm still able to deal some relatively good damage. And so now we're going to go back and we're going to try this one out with the Consecrated Wizardus and see how much damage it does here. So we saw, the first time with Guad, it was 170 something, and the second time it was 164, compared to with a Consecrated Wizardus, we were looking at about 140 or so, right? So there's clearly some difference. We're going to try this one more time, and you can also see the number of upgraded power gems is slightly less than with Guad here. Okay, so now we're up to 180. So it really sort of goes to show that it's not always necessarily consistently worse or better. So like you can see here, like we did worse in one situation and then we did better. We're going to try this one more time, and we're going to go up against an Inferno boss. Might as well. Let's continue with this setup and see if we can get, again, another 180 trillion and see if that was a fluke or if that really is something that we can expect to get from this team. And so if that's the case, I would say in my opinion, it's better to use Consecrated Wizardus in this situation, because you can use Yorn Swarmers all the time. Okay, so now 278, so that was actually even better. So what I did there was the power gems that I used to swap was the power gems in 7s and 8s as opposed to power gem 4s, and that will make a big difference there. And so my recommendation here is, even though Consecrated Wizardus only produces power gem 2s versus power gem 3s, based on what I'm seeing here, it's better to go with this, okay? And using Yorn Swarmers, as I mentioned earlier, I'm going to pick a boss that has higher health. I guess we can go with this. So I'm going to show you what happens in this situation. So before, I've had to wait for jailers to be available in order to really use it when I was using the Divine Duet. And now what I'm doing instead is I'm using Yorn Swarmers, and because I'm able to get a turn delay every single turn, what we're going to do is we're going to see how much quicker we can get our attacks in, because, well, I can get every 2 turns I'll be able to attack with my hard one gorillas, and then 2 turns later I'll be able to use my Yorn Swarmers again. Unfortunately, that boss got taken out, even though that was a Radiant boss. I need a boss that's high enough health so that I could. I guess what I can do is I'll do this. This is what I'm going to do. So I'm going to go ahead and simulate as if I, used the battle skill. Okay, and so what we're gonna do here is I'm going to activate just Yorn Swarmers, and I'm not going to actually activate Hard One Gorillas right now. So you can see we have a boost here. So even just activating Yorn Swarmers by itself, I'm already getting 2 stacks of boost. All right, and what we're going to do is we're going to do 1 turn without attacking, and now the second turn we're expecting that we're expecting that Hard One Gorillas is going to be available. We're going to activate Yorn Swarmers, and now we have our 2 stacks of attack boost, and so we can see that back to 170 trillion again, and so this is going to be a slightly faster setup than actually using Defiant Duet, because you can use your Yorn Swarmers every single turn, and you'll be able to get a little bit more damage plus nuke each turn. And so this is actually going to be something that I would recommend you try if you have it. A lot of people say use Yorn Swarmers because it's the best. Yes, for a single attack, it is going to be the best, but it's going to also be a lot slower. Using Yorn Swarmers, because of the single turn delay, it's going to be a lot easier, a lot faster for you to get chip damage over time, so that you can quickly take down more damage while climbing up that 10%, 20%, or even maybe 50% threshold to get more trophies. So hopefully this has been helpful for you. Thanks a lot for watching, guys, and take care. Have a good holiday. And once again, I did talk about in my stream. If you have a video that you like for this event team or any team using this event, feel free to go ahead and share it with me. I like to compile a list of them and see if I can generate a video afterwards. So thanks a lot, guys. Take care, and I'll see you next time. Bye now.